So what are some of your biggest challenges? This helps you to now be able to start thinking, how might I be able to help this individual? Remember going back to what I said about networking, about it being reciprocal? Your whole thing is, I'm going to try to help you, and I believe in turn, it's going to come back to me. It might not come back through you, it's going to come back through someone. So this really helps you start to think. So this individual has a goal of, they want to increase their customer base by another 20 customers over the next quarter. They work directly with, let's say, electricians. Some of us in this room would say, I know a lot of electricians. Right, Matt? Yep. So Matt can say, hey, I'd love to introduce you to such and such, who's an electrician over in this company. Think about how that's going to make that individual feel by Matt offering to make that kind of an introduction for him. So once again, you ask the questions, you listen, how can I go about helping? And then you actually ask that question. How can I help you? How can I help you achieve some of your goals? Put those 5 in your back pocket, and when you walk in, you always have something to start a conversation with a person that you walk up to. One of the things that, along with really having an idea of who you want to meet when you go in there, another thing you should do, you should establish goals like, I am going to meet 3 people before I leave, or I'm going to meet 5 people before I leave. Because in every situation, you don't always know who's going to be there. So you set some actual goals for yourself. And we all know when you set goals, it kind of steers you in a direction. Because once again, I think it was Dennis that may have asked me this question. You can't develop the relationship with 100 or so people in there. So you have to narrow it down. So now you're about to enter into, I'm just being funny here, the Lions Den. And that's so you're about to go to your networking event. You go to the networking event. And it kind of looks like this. So this is you just walked in the door. And you kind of at a bird's eye view, and you look at the different groups of people that are in this networking event. So I'm going to want you to kind of share with me which group would you probably feel comfortable with going to be a part of that conversation. So once again, this is you right here. And there are groups, can you see the letters? Mm-hmm. Okay. Somebody just throw out one that you would feel comfortable and tell me why.
A.
You would feel comfortable going to A?
Well, you know.
Just, all right. All right. So, as you're right, we know you, Donna, so there's no group A. See, now when I see group A, this is what I think about group A.
They're close.
Group A reminds me of, it's like playing football. They look like a hug, right? And those groups right there are hard to get in because people are doing those personal, you try and get in, you just can't. You can't get in because they're kind of closed off. Except for Donna. Except for Donna.
I love those groups.
Most of us would look at that group and say, I probably won't go to that group. Probably not. Anybody else want to take a stab at another group? You would?
F.
F and G.
Why F?
Because they're by themselves and they're the closest.
Which means they probably want somebody to talk to, right? Okay, F. And G kind of has that same look as well as H, right?
Yeah.
They also look like they may be waiting for one of those circles to open up so they can jump in there as well. So.
D's a good group too. They're open.
D's the best.
They need another person in there.
D or E.
So you said D
D or E.
They're close.
and E. Those are the kinds of groups to look for. Once again, going back to that whole thing about body language, that's exactly what that open circle says. You can come and be a part of our conversation. When you see when people standing like C, they're probably in a pretty, maybe into a personal conversation. So you don't want to bone in your way into that situation. Same with A and even with B. Now over time that may change. They may be there, they're having this serious conversation about something at work, that they're all working together. Then they eventually open up, then that's an opportunity for you to come in. But when you go to this event, you're pretty much, your job is to scan the room and then figure out which are the groups that make sense for you to be a part of. Once again, if you don't know exactly who you're going to meet there, that's an approach that you can take. Okay, so now what do you do after? What do you do after? Anybody want to maybe throw out some things? What do you think you do after?
Send thank yous, emails.
Yeah. I contact those people that I know.
Thank yous?
I contact people that I know.
And when you say you contact, what do you mean?
Well, usually when I meet them in that atmosphere, I'll give them their email addresses, or they always hand out business cards too,
Mhm.
especially if you're going to networking. So I make sure I ask for it during the conversation, and then later I'll follow up with them. Hey,
Okay.
it's so nice to meet you, yada, yada,
When do you think we should give you a business card? Remember, want to take a guess on that?
After you've had a
yada.
intimate conversation talking about your business, your life, got to
Okay.
listen a little bit.
So are you saying I shouldn't just walk up to you at, hey, how you doing, Mark Skipper? Here's my business card. Did you say don't do that?
No, don't do that.
Don't do that. Okay. Think of networking like, I don't know, like a relationship with your spouse. Right? When you first met your spouse, I assume that you probably went on a date. You probably didn't kiss on the first date. Networking is like that. A relationship was developed before you started moving along those lines. So networking is the same way. You develop a relationship, and then you more or less, you're asking permission if it's okay to give that individual your card.
I sometimes would write down a note about the conversation that I had with them, on their card, if they gave it to me, or however I did that.
And why do you do that, Cheryl?
So that I can, it'll help me remember them and what was important to them, for them.
Yeah. And you know what? People are impressed when you meet them out and then you contact them or they see you somewhere and you say, hey, how's your son? I know you told me that he was going to such and such college. Most people are extremely impressed. What does that say? That says that you were paying attention to him.
Listen.
You listen to them. Once again, relationship. Because people really remember how you make them feel, right? They're not going to remember all the things that you said about your business. They're going to remember how you made them feel.
Can I just finish my second thing?
Yes, ma'am.
Whatever it is that I said I was going to do, I do. So if I said I'm going to send you an email, I send it. If I said I'm going to do whatever, I do it. So I follow through.
That goes back to credibility. So you follow up with what you say that you're going to do. This is probably the part where most people fall down on, is what they do after going to a networking event. Because this is what happens most of the time. We collect all these cards, and we go back to our office, and we set them on the desk and put them in a drawer. Right? Follow-up is the key that is going to help you to stand out from all of the other people that they met at that particular event. Once again, let's go back to what we said about focus. You don't do that to everybody that you met, but you do it to those individuals that you believe you can help and that can help you. One of the things that we do, and I'm in an organization that's called BNI, Business Network International. We do these things that are called one-to-ones, where I'll contact you, we'll go to the Caribou down the street, we spend an hour, I learn about 30 minutes worth of stuff about you and your business, you learn about 30 minutes about mine. What great way, you meet somebody out at a networking event, you're thinking, wow, I really want to connect with this person. The next step is you invite them out and let's just have coffee and let's talk. So that's always a good next step. Once again, going back to the whole giver's gain type attitude, how can I help you? And that's what you're constantly thinking is, how can I help you achieve your goal? So I want to ask a question about being efficient. Because there's so much going on in our lives, we have to put some things down in our calendars, in our schedules. So figuring out when is an appropriate time for me to follow back up, when is an appropriate time for me to touch base with this individual again, just to see how things are going and say hello. And of course, connecting on LinkedIn. And that's an opportunity that I know I had not been taking advantage of. I'm starting to work on now. Just think of the hundreds of people that you have connected to on LinkedIn, that you can use some of these. Schedule a time to have coffee with individuals on there. Figure out who on your LinkedIn list fits your dream list of 10 people, 5, 100, whatever your particular number is. And we just go back over places to network, which we talked about earlier. 2 items I would highly recommend if you really want to learn and become really comfortable with networking. Ivan Eisner is the individual that founded Business Network International. If you go to their website, and the address is right up here, he has hundreds of podcasts about networking. Because most of us aren't born networkers. This is a skill that you learn. And he has some great podcasts that will help you to become a better networker. And then his book, Networking Like a Pro. Would highly recommend that book. And I see we're actually out of time, but I'll be here afterwards. If you would like to comment and ask me any questions, I'll be more than happy to share what I know. And if you'd like to schedule a time for maybe us to grab coffee together, I would look forward to that.
I'd like you all to write some notes for Mark for his feedback. But why don't we take a 5-minute